We've used the Pixel 9a as our daily driver for 2 weeks, took it on a camping trip and played tons of Fortnite. We also took it on a photo shoot and compared the cameras with the Xiaomi 15 and Samsung A36. And we installed the Android 16 beta to check out what everyone will be getting soon. Yes, we did a lot, but it'll likely be a super popular phone, so we wanted to check it out in great detail. Well, should you buy it? That's what you'll learn in this review. We start with the design and build quality. The design is not that impressive since it's lacking that iconic pixel camera bar. Instead, it's 8.9mm thick with a flush camera design. The advantage, this might be the first phone in ages that doesn't wobble at all when you place it on a table without a case. The thicker design also leaves more space for a larger battery, which we'll get to later. It features slightly less premium but still excellent build quality compared to its flagship siblings, the Pixel 9 and 9 Pro. The screen is made of Gorilla Glass 3 and the back of the phone is made of a plasticky polymer instead of glass. The plastic back feels surprisingly high quality and doesn't gather fingerprints like a glass back would, so we have no complaints here. The sides of the phone are flat, but corners are slightly rounded and smooth. However, it feels surprisingly large despite technically only having a 6.3-inch display, putting it on the smaller end of a modern smartphone. And there's a very obvious reason why: the screen bezels. They are much larger than we're used to from other phones we've been reviewing recently. Sure, you'll forget about it after 5 minutes. The only real shame is that the phone ends up with a larger footprint without the benefit of a bigger screen. With that being said, it's IP68 water and dust resistant, which is great. Cameras have always been a strength of Google Pixel phones and the 9a is no exception. Google had to make some sacrifices to the main sensor for the zero camera bump design, but the 48-megapixel 25mm main camera is still very capable. And with Google's great software processing, photos and videos look vivid and sharp. This lens also supports an automatic macro photo mode, which takes surprisingly detailed photos up close. Although the main camera is 48-megapixel, photos can only be taken with 12-megapixel resolution. However, we notice that the Pixel takes sharper photos in 12-megapixel than the Samsung Galaxy A36 50-megapixel mode. That's quite impressive. In fact, even the 50-megapixel photos of the Xiaomi 15, which is more expensive, don't have much more detail. The amount of detail is quite similar. The ultra-wide camera is only 30 megapixels, but photos taken with it are surprisingly crisp despite the lower resolution again. That one only supports video recording in Full HD, unfortunately. The same 13 megapixel camera is used at the front, which in turn gives it a shockingly large field of view in the selfie mode. Selfies look passable, but not as sharp as on flagships due to the lower resolution. We compared the 9a against the cheaper Galaxy A36 and surprisingly found that Samsung selfies, they are sharper. It's a much cheaper phone. Taking video with the selfie camera crops the frame and offers great image stabilization and autofocus. Video recording at 4K 30fps is also supported. Only the main rear camera supports 4K 60fps recording. Videos look good and the stabilization works great. You won't find any strange video artifacts which often plague lower-end smartphone cameras either. The 9a even has support for taking photos in the RAW format, which allows better editing in apps like Adobe Lightroom. Sadly, when you open its RAW photos in Adobe Lightroom right now, they have a strange haze. Probably because it doesn't support the 9a yet. But you can correct that by adding a bit of clarity and texture. Like you see here, we took all these photos on RAW and it's a lot of fun shooting with this phone. With that being said, they are not as sharp when compared to a flagship like the iPhone 16 Pro, especially when shooting it in RAW as well. It's not a fair comparison of course, but it's just something we noticed quickly. The same goes for the S25 Ultra. Both have better main cameras than the Pixel 9a. Since we are running a beta version of Android 16, a couple of things might change between now and the official release. But here's a brief overview of what's changing so far. Android 16 Material 3 Expressive adds a lot of UI overhauls like more flush and vibrant icons, sliding bars on the volume and brightness sliders, and the option to shrink quick setting menu icons. Dismissing notifications is also more satisfying, with notification bars bouncing away energetically and with haptics. You will notice changes like icons and quick settings becoming square when interacted with. In general, it feels like Google finally abandoned the minimalistic Android aesthetic from the past couple of years and went all in on a more vibrant and bouncy user interface. The lock-in home screens also have a couple changes. You can now add live weather effects, auto crops, and live animations for your background photo in the lock screen, which disappear when you unlock the phone. Neat. Unfortunately, you still can't remove the Google search bar and at-a-glance widgets from the home screen. Some Android 16 features like live notifications for deliveries or taxis still aren't available, but seem very promising from what Google has revealed so far. It really feels like Google borrowed the best parts of iOS and Android skins like One UI and Nothing OS and synthesize them into a huge upgrade for the Pixel experience. And speaking of things borrowed from One UI, stock Android is finally getting a desktop mode based on Samsung DeX. It's not available on the beta just yet, but the Pixel 9a should get this feature since it already can display to an external monitor via the USB 3.2 port. Maybe this doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's absolutely game-changing if more companies adopt a standard inbuilt desktop mode on Android phones and tablets, allowing you to use your Android device as a laptop alternative. We always review them on tablets and would love a great standard one. One of the biggest selling points is its 7-year support period. Google has always had a very good track record when rolling out updates for their devices, but starting from last year's Pixel 8 series, they promise a minimum 7 years of Android version updates. That's great. We think the Pixel 9a has an excellent display despite the larger bezels. With a peak brightness at 2700 nits, the phone is fully usable under direct sunlight. The screen resolution is almost 2K, and with a variable refresh rate up to 120Hz, navigating the phone feels smooth and everything is super sharp. For some reason, the display is kept at 60Hz by default. You will have to enable the smooth display setting in order to use the full refresh rate, which we recommend doing. The inbuilt stereo speakers are pretty decent. They get quite loud, bass is present, and there's very little distortion at high volumes. We did notice that the bass is more audible on lower volumes, but tends to taper off when turning the speakers all the way up. Combined with the excellent display, the Pixel 9a makes for a great experience in apps like TikTok and in games. The 9a comes with 8GB of RAM and 128GB or 256GB of storage, which is the bare minimum for any phone these days. 8GB of RAM is more than enough for multitasking and gaming right now, but future apps and Android versions might be more RAM hungry and slow the Pixel down. Still, there's no need to worry for years to come. Interestingly, some Google Gemini AI features perform worse or just don't exist on the Pixel 9a compared to the other 9th gen Pixels, since the other phones have a minimum of 12GB RAM. At least that's what we guess is the reason. Call notes and the AI-powered screenshots app aren't available. Users interested in advanced AI features will be better off with the Pixel 9. By the way, there's no microSD card slot. There's been a lot of criticism about the performance of Google's tensor chips. And yes, when you're paying $1,000 for a flagship smartphone and only getting half the performance as other flagships and worse battery life, you have a right to be disappointed. But the competition is very different in the mid-range. Since the Pixel 9a uses the Tensor G4, just like the 9 Pro, it enjoys the same performance at much lower price. Multitasking, light video and photo editing, and mobile gaming are a breeze for this chip. Speaking of heat and thermals, the one distinction between the 9a and other Pixel 9s is the packaging technology for the Tensor chip, where Google uses a cheaper process that conducts heat worse. To compensate, they added a vapor chamber for cooling, making up for the extra heat output. In Geekbench 6, the CPU speed of the Pixel 9a is only around 10% slower in single core compared to the similarly priced OnePlus 4, a phone praised for its excellent performance per dollar. And compared to cheaper, more budget-friendly phones like the Galaxy A36, the Pixel 9a leaves it in the dust with close to double the CPU multi-core speed. In the GPU benchmark 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme, the Pixel performs about the same as the OnePlus Nord 4, which is great. In 3D Mark Steel Nomad Lite, the 9a is just 35% slower than the iPhone 16 Pro. Overall, these scores are very remarkable. It should be no surprise that the Pixel is no slouch in modern games, even with higher graphical presets. Fortnite on the Ultra preset with every setting turned all the way up impresses with a 55 FPS average out of a possible maximum 60. You can't choose 90 here. In Genshin Impact, we are able to crank settings all the way up and sit at a comfortable 60 FPS average. The phone barely even warms up in this title. In Alien Isolation, the 9A produces a solid 43 FPS average on the performance preset and 33 FPS in graphical. Although it still weighs off the magic 60 FPS mark, the game is more than playable and looks excellent. Overall, we are happy with how the Pixel 9a performs in games. The inclusion of a vapor chamber seems to really help disperse heat, and the stereo speakers and great display create a very immersive experience. 23-watt charging isn't the best in 2025 anymore. While smartphones from Xiaomi and Oppo can fully charge within half an hour, the Pixel 9a needs over 2 hours to do the same. The good news is that it at least has a large battery with 5100 mAh capacity. Wireless charging is supported, but only at 7 watts. In our YouTube HD video playback test, the Pixel manages a whole 24 hours of continuous playback at peak brightness. That's only 10% worse than the Samsung S25 Ultra and on par with the flagship Xiaomi 15. That's excellent. Despite only using a single camera, facial recognition works reliably and apparently is secure. We haven't tested Google's claims, but the unlock speed and low light performance is definitely impressive. If you're worried about security or privacy, you will be a fan of the on-screen fingerprint reader. In our testing, it's not the most accurate fingerprint reader we've ever used. That would go to any phone with an actual ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, but it's far better than the one on the Samsung A36, for example. About 90% of the time, the reader works on the first try. Google's Pixel 9a is a well-balanced mid-ranger. The camera's display, support period, and even performance are at least on par, if not leagues ahead of other competitors in its price range. Android 16 also seems very promising so far and should be released soon for all supported Pixels. More storage space, a better selfie camera, and smaller display bezels would be things that we hope to see in the Pixel 10a. But right now, it's hard to find a better smartphone deal on the market, so if you're looking for a good mid-range device, then the Pixel 9a is a great pick.